All right, well, we got that very elusive win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers took care of business, and obviously, as always, there are some flaws and a lot of good things that I saw against a much lesser opponent that, these are things that you need to see when you are playing opponents like the Panthers. I think our biggest issue has always been we play down to our opponents, and even though we kind of did today, we still ended up coming out with a victory. But before I get into my reaction, if you are new here, I am Rami B. I post weekly reaction videos, so make sure you click the subscribe button down below, and let's get into the reaction. So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took care of business at home against the Carolina Panthers with a score of 21-18. A game that probably was much closer than it should have been. However, taking into account we were missing Devin White, we were missing Levante David, and then KJ Britt, I think that's his name, KJ Britt, yeah, he ended up getting hurt as well. We literally had safeties and corners playing linebacker. This is as good of a result that you could expect because, yeah, coming into the game thinking that we were missing our best linebackers, and then now we have another backup go down. It looked like, this was a game that Carolina could have stolen, but the Buccaneers had 322 yards of total offense, 104 passing, 128 rushing. Not the most effective day offensively, but we did score points, which is all that really matters at the end of the day. And then the Panthers had 282 yards of total offense, 149 passing, 133 rushing. Baker Mayfield did not have a good day today, 14 of 29 for 202 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. I think Baker at one point, I think it was the third quarter, him and Bryce Young had 9 completions at some point in the third quarter. So definitely not a good game by Baker at all, but it wasn't a game where we needed him to be his best, so we were able to kind of pull it off. Rachaad White, 20 carries for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. Pretty decent day from him. I think he averaged about 4.2 yards per carry, and then Godwin had the other big carry, 1 for 19 yards and a touchdown. So I think that's his second touchdown of the season, which should be criminal. Again, I don't think Godwin didn't have any reception this game either. He had a couple targets, but again, this seems to be an issue with the offense that we cannot get Chris Godwin involved at all. And again, even though I know they say that, teams are focusing on Evans and Godwin, well, Evans is the bigger threat and he's getting his yards and touches. I just don't think they're calling plays for Godwin or putting him in places or, places on the field where he can be open and make changes in the game. So I think that's a coaching thing for sure. But let's go into the receiver stats. So Mike Evans had 7 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown, which put him over 1,000 yards on the season with 1,012 yards and 10 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill got 2 today, so Tyreek's at 12. Evans is at 10. I think he should be at second place. I don't know who else was right up there with him. But he got his 1,000 yards at this point of the season. What is that, week 13 now? I think that's right, week 13. So obviously one of his better receiving seasons in terms of yardage. I think his best was 2019. He had 1,500 yards before he got hurt with the hamstring and had to miss a few games. And he's on track to potentially break the franchise record that he set in 2021 with 14 touchdowns. He just needs 4 more touchdowns over the next 5. How many games do we have? 5 games? Yeah, 4 games, I think. Yeah, it's looking like Evans really has, I think we have 5 games left actually. So yeah, Evans has a chance to really break that record, the franchise record again. He'll be what, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th place with that. So that puts him at now 10 straight 1,000 yard seasons to start a career, which is way beyond 2nd place. I think 2nd place was Randy Moss or with 6, or Jerry Rice with 6, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Jerry Rice does have 11 straight at any point of his career, so Evans is 1 shy of that. If Evans can tie Jerry Rice, I mean, you can't deny his Hall of Fame case with that, honestly, to begin with. But if he ties Jerry Rice and then surpasses him, there's literally no argument against him being in the Hall of Fame. He now has 91 career touchdowns, which is tied all-time, 12th place all-time with Davante Adams and Isaac Bruce. Not that many people ahead of them, and him and Davante Adams are the only active NFL players that are that high. So no one else is above them, ahead of them, except Gronk. But he's retired, but I don't think it counted as, I don't know if he filed his paperwork for sure yet or not, but I think Gronk only has 1 or 2 more touchdowns than him. So Evans essentially could finish the season in the top 10 receiving touchdowns for sure. And I'm glad that he passed Davante Adams, because that was the one thing, like, he has more yards than Davante with less catches, more yards per catch. But Davante had more touchdowns, and Davante's not having a good season in terms of receiving touchdowns, so Evans is definitely going to pass by him. Other than Evans, we didn't really have anybody contribute much to the receiving game. Rachaad White had three catches, 22 yards. Palmer 2 for 12. Nobody else had over 10 yards. It was the Mike Evans day, Mike Evans game. And it's always when he gets really close to breaking 1,000, he explodes. He's done that last year when he had that 200. 10 yards against Carolina. He had the year before. Like, he always seems to break it when we need him to. Defensively, I think we had a great defensive game considering the injuries that we had, especially in linebacker position. So Antoine Winfield had a sack and a pick. J.J. Russell had a sack, and Izzy had a forced fumble. I think the pass rush was doing pretty decent overall and getting pressures. However, Bryce Young is pretty good at escaping pressure. He's pretty mobile, and shifty, so he was able to break out of some things. But overall, they didn't really do much. I mean, Bryce Young had 178 yards on 15 completions out of 31 attempts, so about 50% completion percentage. He did have a pick. Hubbard had 25 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Miles Sanders 8 for 23. Obviously, their run game was going to be effective just because we were missing Devin White, Levante David, and KJ Britt. So, you know, you put safeties or corners down in the linebacker position, they can't shed the blocks from the linemen and, you know, things like that. So that is as expected. The receiving game, not so effective. Jonathan Mingo, 6 for 69. Chark, 3 for 56. No one else had above 30 yards at all. So overall, I mean, it wasn't the most offensive game outside of the Evans touchdown, which I even forgot to mention. That 74-yard touchdown was the longest touchdown of his career with about 55 yards after catch as well. So outside of that big play, really the game offensively was nothing, you know, really at all. Take away that 74 yards from Baker, and he has about 120 yards of 120, almost 130 yards of passing, and yeah, so not really the most effective game. However, what does help us is the division standing. So now the Falcons beat today the New York Jets, so the Falcons are at 6-6 with the division lead and a tiebreaker over the Bucs. The Bucs are second place at 5-7. The Saints are third place, 5-7. We obviously have the tiebreaker with them. We are 2-1 in the division. The Saints are 1-2 in the division, and then the Panthers are last place, 1-11. Next week's a very big week. The Panthers play the Saints. The Saints will probably win that one and be 2-2 in the division, but if the Panthers win, it really helps us out for sure. And then we play the Falcons in Atlanta next week, which might be the biggest game of our season. If we beat them, we are 6-7. They will be 6-7. And then we will both be at that point 3-1 in the division, I want to say it is. Yeah, because they're 2-1 now. We'd be 3-1 in the division. So I think if that happens, we would have the conference tiebreaker, and then that would put us at first place over them. So definitely a big game, definitely a winnable game. Desmond Ritter's back, but we saw it happen last time with the collapse. Hopefully we get Levante David back, Devin White, and we get a little bit healthier, but it's going to be the biggest game of the season. We lose that, I think the division is that much harder to win, considering we still have to play the Saints, the Saints, the Panthers after that. We play the Jags. I think that's it. Might be missing someone else, yeah. But so yeah, we'll see how it goes. So comment down below, Bucs Nation, what you think of the game and what do you think things will look like moving forward. And just to not make this so long, thank you for tuning in. Let's go Bucs, and as always, I am out. Let's go!